The only way that you start to build that competence is by stepping into the discomfort of doing something new.
Mainly it's problem solving, it's strategy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't do that when you're putting yourself under duress.
And so what I would say to an average golfer, somebody who's trying to break 100 for the first time, trying to break 90 for the first time, trying to break 80 for the first time, yeah, you're going to feel pressure.
The amount that I say to people as a golfer myself, like I'll be like, how many times has somebody told you picked your head up? How many times have you heard, like, or tell me what people have told you about your golf swing, is one of my
Mm-hmm.
kind of onboarding questions, basically. Like, what have you self-diagnosed with from other people?
Yeah.
How have you built your game to the view of other people?
Yeah.
It's like those things have totally taken over people's foundations. So it really, when I hear that as a coach, especially a swing coach, I'm like, okay, that's kind of a starting place, is like where, what, you know, I don't want to say intellectually, but like what's your foundation of how you learned how to swing? Because everybody goes 0 to 100. Most
Yeah.
people don't. Most people who take on golf lessons later in life didn't get lessons as a kid.
Right.
You know,
Right.
they started at some point and then they just basically grew it up from there. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting question.
Yeah. Well, and it's the same thing from like the psychological side as well. Most people never get formal psychological training. What they rely on is, what did my coach tell me? Or, what have I heard from my parents? Like, how, like, the way that we learn how to interact with our internal world is completely shaped by the world around us, right?
Mhm.
So I think I've heard so many people come in and say, well, I had an instructor, I had a coach, tell me that, well, oh, I just have to be confident. And it's like, oh, well, we're learning something new here,
That's
right? So
it.
yeah, so confidence is this, like, this overarching key, right? Or motivation is this, like, overarching feeling that you have to feel when you go out and do something important. And the research just doesn't support that. Right. So, like, so many people come in, and one of the questions I usually ask a whole bunch the second I hear confidence is like, do you feel like you need to be confident in order to play well? And
Mm.
everybody always says yes.
Yeah.
Right, because it's like you put on the golf network, or you're watching a major or something like that. What do you hear the announcers talking about? Oh, they don't feel pressure. These guys are, they've got ice in their veins. Right, it's like,
Bullshit.
exactly, right. We have to kind of pick apart people's psychology, and you listen to coaches talk, and they're like, okay, just make a confident swing here. What does that even mean?
What does that mean? What
Yeah.
does that mean? Now, I had a conversation in a other podcast with a sports, I don't want to say sports psychologist, but for hockey.
Yeah.
And he's one of my good buddies, very interested in golf, Dr. Dave Jones, and he wanted my input on the U.S. Open. I think we might have talked about this before, where
Mhm.
Rory missed the 3 foot putt on 18 to tie it, I think.
Yes.
Or yeah, to get into a playoff with Bryson, and he missed that 3 footer. And I was like, well, as a golfer, you understand that that 3 footer is a 3 foot putt that I guarantee he makes probably 9 out of 10 times. And the only reason I say 9 out of 10 times, because PGA Tour make percentage from 3 feet is 99.99999%. Like, they don't miss 3 foot putts, and that's not just 3 feet. That means uphill, downhill, left to right, right to left. Like, 3 feet can break, can get out of
Yep.
there. And when
Yep.
I saw that putt, I said, there's a good chance he misses this, because those greens were ice. It's like rolling on pavement, and it
Yep.
was downhill left to right. That's one of the hardest putts for a righty golfer.
Mhm.
And I'm like, given the circumstances, of course, and we're talking about mental coaching, like that's there does not get a tougher putt than that one right there.
Yeah.
Unless he's going to, like, that's for the win. I would put that slightly above the tie.
Yeah.
Slightly. But he had just missed that putt like 3 or 4 holes earlier. That was flatter. It wasn't even as downhill, and that couldn't have been a harder putt right there.
Right.
So, my cat likes to get in front of the screens. Um, so to that point of, like, what does confidence mean? What is that? Like, Rory trains. Rory's got all the training in the damn world to make that putt, but when it comes down to that moment, muscle memory should kick in to make the best stroke possible, or the best shot possible, best swing possible, for the pros. But, like, what about the everyday guy? You can say, make a confident swing here, and if I'm not confident in my ability to begin with, then I can't make a confident swing.
Yeah, right. So even think about some of the things that you were saying about Rory's situation, right?
Mm,
Like, oh, he should make this, because this is a putt that he's seen millions of times on the practice green,
yep.
right? It's not the same putt,
Not at
right?
all.
The
Not even close.
completely different putt, and I
Not at
think
all.
that's like you hear guys talk about like training and stuff like that. Like there are so many outside influences that show up in that particular scenario. These guys care
Mhm.
so much about winning majors,
Yep.
right? Like
Sure.
that is the thing that a lot of these guys go out there and like that is their Super Bowl 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, believe it or not, if you asked me, I would have said like Rory. I would give Rory a higher percentage to hit a fairway under the most pressure possible than make that 3 foot putt. One,
think
like
think about his
that's
history.
yeah, but that's in not in theory. Like statistically, that would be easier for him to make the 3 foot putt than hit a fairway.
Yep.
But I would say Roy would hit the fairway over the 3 foot putt. A couple factors go into play. The biggest of all is that every tee box is flat. Right? So all the 3 foot putts are all going to be different, and then you heighten the circumstances on each of them. I'm gonna go right to that ground pressure that
Yeah.
the flat tee box is at least going to he can block out anything, and I'm still on a flat tee box. But
Well, and
yeah,
I think that's part of his issue too, right? Like you have to like from a psychology component, you look at the mental model that he works out of. It's all about feeling a certain way,
right,
right? So the second that there's some doubt, or the second that things start to pull him off into the future, right? Like, and you've heard it throughout his whole ordeal within the Masters, right? I've got a buddy who a couple years ago called it when he missed the cut after finishing second the year prior. He
yeah,
said he's so far into this, like I'm going to play a mind game about the Masters. I think what I find with working with athletes, there's such a lack of a mental model where then you rely on things like, well, oh well, Rory says this, and it's like Rory is the best golfer on planet Earth, right? He has the smoothest swing, the purest swing, but he
mhm,
doesn't have the right mental model to work out of. He's an expert in golf, but not an expert in psychology. And I
yeah,
think the way that psychology progresses or has progressed over the last, I would say, 20 years, it's getting away from a lot of the things that like the classic sports psychologists would focus on, right? Like
mhm,
it's, hey, can you be around stuff that makes you uncomfortable, right? Going to play in a major, right? And so I'm going to tie this back in with your question about like the average golfer. Um,
yeah,
these guys have to be able to be around the things that make them most uncomfortable when they go play in a major where the stakes are so high. Where like I think about guys who are on the cut line, right? Like
mhm,
this could be a putt for you to make the cut, and you're either not getting paid anything or you're getting paid $60,000, which is that's a salary for most people.
yep, sure.
Um,
I
and
think about
so
that often.
yeah,
I watch the cut guys too.
yeah,
Those
right,
are stories you'll hear from Friday to Saturday. Is like if somebody, I think actually during the U.S. Open, Francesco Molinari made a hole in one to make the cut
yeah, right.
at
And so
the Pinehurst U.S. Open.
so there's so much pressure that shows up, and everybody talks about relieving pressure. I like you got to be in it. You have to be able to
Mm,
be in that space. And so what I would say to an average golfer, somebody who's trying to break 100 for the first time, trying to break 90 for the first time, trying to break 80 for the first time, um, yeah, you're going to feel pressure, and that's okay.
mm,
It's can you be around it and not let it become a dictator over your golf game, right? So you spend all of this time. First of all, golf is hard in and of itself, right? If everybody's starting to play golf now, but you know, not everybody's good at it. You're doing something that's already difficult. One, that's going to create some psychological challenges. Two, you also care about it. You care about going out and playing well. That's going to throw in some additional psychological challenges. And so rather than trying to get into a separate altercation, is probably the best way to call it. Now you're trying to do something that's difficult and you're trying to fight yourself. You're doomed to fail, right? So because now your attention can't be on the thing that you need to do, right? And that goes into a lot of like you were saying, like I'm going to take those the ground reaction forces. I'm going to take that flat lie and put as much as I can into that flat ground. That's
mm,
something that you can cue into, but now
yep.
try and do that while you're saying don't be nervous.
Don't be nervous. I'd be saying like when I'm talking about the ground reaction force or ground force, I'm thinking that's where my thought is rooted into just as a coach or
Mhm.
as a player myself. If I feel comfortable in my stance and my posture, that is number one.
Yep.
If I'm comfortable, then I can make a relatively comfortable swing, or at least had the best chance to do so.
Hmm.
And that's the first thing I start with my clients is I get them in a more comfortable, athletic, able to rotate around the spine posture where they show up and not knowing how to even set
Yeah.
up. I get that a lot. Like I don't even know how
Yeah.
close I'm supposed to be to the ball. And I'm like, well, that's a huge problem. Imagine that in different lies because not everything's flat and everybody's range is dead flat. And that so your sense of comfort goes away the second you're on downhill, uphill, all those things. And when you need to reduce scores, because we know that bringing scores down doesn't mean more birdies, it means less quads, triples, doubles. Bringing those numbers down means less bad shots per hole.
Hmm.
And if every single shot other than the tee shot is going to be on some different angle, then you got a big problem if your posture and ground root isn't like balanced and
Yeah.
correct. That is number one.
Yeah.
Number two is just that sense of body awareness. I think what I was talking about before outside of Rory with my buddy Dave there was he was talking about Bryson and how Bryson uses like the clock system to understand where his body's at in space and where does his confidence come from when he's got that say sand shot from 50 yards in front of the clubhouse? Because I would argue that was just as hard as the 3-footer.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
one of the hardest shots in golf.
Yeah.
But he, I would take that shot. I'd still take that shot over the 3-footer because at least he got to swing fully.
Hmm.
And there wasn't the worry of anything else.
Hmm.
But his body awareness, having done it so many times, getting to use some sort of ground force to know that I have to swing down, I have to keep my shoulders moving through it. That's not what a putt is. A putt is way more finesse than that. So him having that through exercise and different fitness elements, understanding how his body moves, he was able to use that and he continues to be able to use that training to have more confidence in his swing. I'm not going to keep comparing that to the Rory
Yeah.
3-foot putt, but you
Yeah.
get my point.
Well,
He as a professional, he has that.
well, it's interesting. Like as you're talking, a couple things really jump out. Like it's not even confidence, right? Like at no point or like have we been able to unfold like his unrelenting belief that he can that he was able to hit that shot. He has the competence to do it,
Yeah,
and then he trusts himself to go and execute.
sure.
Right, so like and this is where I think that confidence, um in the way that it's talked about in sports psychology in particular, it comes off as this I have to like the thoughts in my head have to sound a certain way, but the real confidence that I think is what people are hinting at, but there's a disconnect in what's actually being talked about in the words that we use, um, is that combination of competence and trust, right? And trust is something that you can fall back on. I might be doubtful, right? I might be sitting here saying, "Holy crap, this is the hardest shot in golf," right? And I'm
Yeah,
sure that thoughts like that were going through Bryson's head. They probably showed up at some point,
yeah,
but he was able to trust his competence,
yeah.
right? So not so much confidence, but competence. And
Now
so
that's interesting. Oh, go ahead and finish.
and so for that average golfer, it's okay. Like you're not going to be hitting Bryson DeChambeau shots,
No.
right? But as you are gaining competence, you start being able to trust your process.
Yes.
And the only way that you start to build that competence is by stepping into the discomfort of doing something new.
Nobody tells you about the growing pain shots that you'll have to hit to get to what he did.
Yep.
And one thing popped out when you were talking was that like the crappy drive and the only second shot he could have hit to get to that point. Like he pulled his drive and
Hmm.
then he had one shot only just to get it as close to the green as he possibly could and went in the trap. So there were two basically problem shots, I guess you could say, that he had to hit a bad shot, then recover just to get that shot. So
Yeah.
most amateurs, most regular players would still be holding on to those one of those two shots,
Yeah.
which will mess up that next shot.
Yeah.
No, not the same stakes, of course. If we can put it in normal weekend player scenario, right? Where
Mm.
I hooked one in the trees and I got lucky. It bounces out.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
not happy about the shot.
And think about that, right? So now what you're doing from a psychological perspective, now you're time traveling,
Yep.
right? And
We
and
talked about
the
that a bunch, which I really like. That helps me a lot.
and that's like I use that with the pilots that I work with.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, yeah, you made a mistake. Cool. right?
Yeah.
You hit a bad shot. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
right? What are we doing right now?
Yeah.
Oh, we're not at that bad tee shot that I hit. Again, I say it all the time. I love control, but I love it where you actually have it.
So I'll use the information from the mistake
Yeah,
to improve
yeah,
the next
yeah. I
move.
always say
Yeah.
it's good to reference.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so, like, if you hit a tee, you hit a bad tee shot, right? And you know that it's because you came through too quick, right?
Mhm.
Or, something to do with your swing plane, right? It's okay to reference that and be like, okay, this is the feel that I need for the next shot. Okay, well, now it's time to go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And and again, the overarching premise of this whole thing is that our thoughts aren't controllable, right? And so when thoughts of that next shot or that previous shot show up, you have one of two options, right? You can either run with that thought and let that thought take your attention away from what you're doing, or you can just let the thought be there. So often people talk about the thing that dictates your performance is your thoughts and emotions when it's nothing more than attention. There's a psychologist or sports psychologist, Peter Haberl, and one of the things that he says, he does a lot of work with with the Olympic Committee, and one of the things that he says all the time is that attention is the greatest currency in sports. It's not thinking and feeling, and attention is a trainable skill.
Mm.
Thinking and feeling is an automatic process in the way that we respond to the world around us. And that's a whole separate conversation.
Yeah. You had said that in one of the, I think the last time we talked was it was like you care about it. So of course you're gonna feel
Yeah.
something. Like
Yeah.
of course you're gonna feel something. And but
Yeah.
the premise of how much are you gonna focus on it to where it affects all the training, all the practice, all everything that you've done to try to don't lie and you say you went into the round and you were like, I don't care what I shoot. Like at the end of the day, you're gonna want to know and
Yeah.
you're gonna want to have it as that statistical like benchmark of like I shot this
Yeah.
today. We
Yeah.
don't need to be thinking about it while we play for sure. I agree with you on that. But don't act like you don't care. Well, the
Yeah.
second you shoot like two, say you open up double double, right?
Yep.
Well, round's done. I don't give a damn anymore. I think for most people, it's hard to differentiate the moments from the minutes.
Hmm.
The moments you're talking about where like I'm thinking these things, everything's processing, I'm with my buddies, I'm either, you might have a little alcohol in you.
Sure.
You're not thinking about, okay, how do I process this? Where's my attention? It's always like, there's a million different things going on. Then you step up to the next shot. I would focus mainly there. Let everything kind of go and pass. And then once you're on your next shot, everything has to be the past has to be the past. That's
Yeah.
number one. That is number one.
Yeah.
Everything is in golf as a coach telling you that's always the next. It's the next shot. Whatever happened, it's the next shot. If you
Yeah.
bring any drag and lag to that to this next one, whatever's currently in front of you, because golf is such a great, amazing, freaking awesome game, and the reason is
Yeah.
because men get to be creative and problem solve. And we
Yeah.
love it. We love it. Ladies too, but men for the most part, like you love golf because you get to be creative. You get to read
Yep.
greens. Like I get to shot shape, try to. I
Yep.
get to use my strength. I get to show off a little bit.
Yeah.
But mainly it's problem solving, it's strategy. Like,
Hmm.
but you can't do that when you're putting yourself under duress.
That's when, so exactly what you said, right? Everything that people talk about in regards to, like you said, like the duress component. How do I not feel that so I can go hit the shot that I want? Somebody's feeling doubtful over a 50-yard pitch shot, right?
Mm.
I can speak from personal experience on
Oh, I can't
this.
wait to watch. I can't wait to watch
Yeah.
this. My
Yeah.
specialty is inside 100 yards.
Yeah, that's where I need the most work, right? And
Beautiful.
so the question is like, okay, so I'm feeling all of this doubt, I'm feeling this duress. How do I move forward? Yes, it's great to say the past is the past. We leave it alone. It's about the next shot, all of this other stuff. But when that doubt is there and it feels here, it feels completely all involved within you. Um, the solution that I work with athletes, fighter pilots, you name it, is like do it doubtful, but do it fully, right? So for
Sure.
me,
Sure. I like that. Yeah.
yeah, so for me, I'm not good, right? Like, yeah, I don't play enough. I'm probably your stereotypical weekend golfer at this point. So I don't have the competence to be like, okay, I'm gonna fly this, you know, 48 yards and let it roll up, you know, 2 yards to the pin. But I know generally what a 50-yard shot should feel like for me.
When
Uh,
done correctly.
yeah, when done correctly, right? Obviously, skill is a big thing, and I remember one of my good buddies. We would always whenever we would go play, we would say, "Is this a skill problem or is this a decision problem?"
Great
Right?
question.
Like, yeah,
Great
right. Like,
question.
do I just suck? And this
Mhm.
is just one of those shots that I just couldn't execute, or did I just make a bad decision? And so if it's a skill thing, okay, great. Well, let me act in a way that gets me closer to who I want to be on the golf course with the skill that I have, but let me do it as best as I possibly can while I'm feeling what I'm feeling, doubtful, fear, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny. Have you been watching the Internet Invitational,
You know what? My one of my best friends in Connecticut keeps telling me to watch it.
dude?
I saw clips of the end, but like I'm just too busy right now. I'd love to.
Yeah,
I will watch it. It's gonna be on the internet forever. I'll get there.
yeah. And it was actually it was an interesting psychological study for me
Yeah.
because you hear all of these guys, they're playing golf for a living, and I get that it's not, it's YouTube golf, it's not, you're not playing on, on the PGA Tour, but what you're getting is inside access to
Yeah.
what they're experiencing. And I can't tell you the number of times where people would take whatever they're feeling, they've got a big pressure packed shot, and they
Mhm.
take whatever they're feeling, they try and shove it over there, and then they hit a terrible shot and they say, "Oh, I just wasn't confident."
Well, I did see, your boy Frankie bladed for the win, right? Was or at least to get into to keep it going.
And you listen to him talk about himself.
Dude, he he spiritually passed away when that happened. I heard it.
He spiritually passed away on hole 10.
Okay,
Like,
that's I
there
didn't
was
watch it, so I
yeah,
only
I'm
saw the
not,
final, but
no spoilers, right? But there were some issues that popped up from like a match component as well,
mm.
and he just started tanking. But you listen to what he was talking about, and he was trying to hype himself up to stay in the moment, but then he was talking about the future, and then he has to go and hit a golf shot, and then he's thinking about what everybody else's perceptions of him are going to be. And so, like, it is
Butter knives.
he was not thinking about golf, period. Right? His attention was everywhere else, and then he wonders why, when he gets in those situations, why that happens. Well, for him, there's a judgment of himself that says, "Well, this is just who I am. I'm the guy who messes up in pressure moments." Well, you can't. You're not even focusing on the thing that matters in the moment, right? So it's not a. This isn't a pressure situation. It's an attention
Yes,
situation.
and I would 100% great example because he's trained with some of the best in the world at this point on fixing that exact issue,
And if
and
you
your attention was not on the training.
if you watch every pressure moment that he's in, and I watch a lot of YouTube golf, it's always talking about something else other than what he has to do.
See, I would trust myself in that situation to at least get it on the green. I definitely wouldn't have bladed it. I don't think I would have chunked it. My number one thought at that point would have been, is my posture correct? Do I feel comfortable? You could put 20 cameras around me. I know I'm going to get this chip shot right. Is it going to be close? My adrenaline will probably put it a little past the pin. I would venture to say, but I would make sure that my chest would get through, the club would be on a good path, and I would hit that
Yeah,
ball correctly. I know that
yeah,
and I'm only a 4 or 5 handicap.
yeah.
Right.
Think,
I'm gonna make contact.
yep.
Good.
Now think about, and this is all like the psychological things that come into play. Think
Mm.
about the history that he has with those shots,
Yes, and
right?
so this would be me on a tee box for my life.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
I hook the ball.
Yep.
I got a toey hook miss. I
Yep.
know exactly why. I break down my own swing from time to time. I know exactly what's going on. Can I
Yep.
fix it? Yes, I can, through a lot of repetition. I will figure it out.
Yep.
But when
But
push comes to shove of pressure moments,
yeah,
I default.
exactly. Right.
Hmm.
And so for him, like, and let me ask you this. So you hit that toey hook,
Yeah.
right? What's the next thing that you're thinking after that toey hook?
That I'm fighting for a six on this hole now
Yeah, and
because the ball's gone.
probably like, I did it again. This is just who I am. Why do I do
I
this?
Yeah, if I want to rewind. I want a 3-second rewind so I can just fix that real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. And so now all of a sudden the judgments come this way. And the next time that situation comes up, that's the first thing that's going to come and show you. Because
Yeah.
again, you care about it. and your brain does one of three things: it protects, it predicts, or it problem solves. And so the next thing, you've got that little chip or you've got that drive on an important hole. Well, now it's, well, hey, we toe hook this all the time,
Yep.
right? That's the first thing that comes out. And
Yep.
so going back to golf being an attention game, right? Like, well, now is our attention still here? And I like what you were saying about, like, well, I anchor myself to my posture,
Mhm.
right? That's the thing that I go back to. That sets me up well to go and swing the golf club the way that I want it to,
Yeah.
right? That keeps your attention here if this is the golf shot, right? But now, if you don't have that thing to anchor to hold your attention, when thoughts and emotions show up, now we just start going off here. And now we're so far away from the golf shot because we're just paying attention to what we're thinking and how we're feeling.
And I get that way when, even if I, like, say, because this can happen. Say I feel like a little tight from working out the day before, right?
Hmm.
That's just an example. I could be golfing first hole, and I'm rooted in the posture, but my body just doesn't feel loose or right or anything like
Yeah.
that. That could blow the whole anchor away. Like, I
Yeah.
might just not have the anchor because I don't feel loose, and, like, I guess you could say, like myself in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of a, it's a that's a wishy-washy example, but I could easily say that, like, if I'm looking down the barrel of a dead straight fairway with OB left and right, I don't even, and it's, say it's 420 yards, I kind of have to pull driver, unless I want to have a 220-yard shot going in.
Yeah.
Then I'm really staring down the barrel of a gun, because I'm going to
Yeah.
have to set up. Say I'm in perfect shape, my posture feels good, I'm good. I'm still thinking that, I'm not thinking of the hook. I've taken your advice, and I'm like, I can do whatever I can to know what I know how to do to get this ball to either go straight or right.
Yeah.
Like, take the left side out of it, but
Yep.
then almost overcompensate that to block the shit out of it and go
Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
go right. So now you got, not saying that that will re-answer my head of saying that I have a two-way miss, because I purposely made that happen, but you've taken probably 67% of the attention away from middle,
Yeah. Right.
right?
And so I think you said that you feeling tight is a wishy-washy example. Like, I don't think it is
Mm,
at all.
mm.
Right. Because again, what are you anchoring yourself to in order to play really good golf? Right. Comfort.
Comfort
Right.
in posture, yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
how I
So
feel, how I'm set up.
but comfort, period.
Yeah.
Right. And so now the question becomes, what happens when you are uncomfortable?
For the average golfer and myself, I would, a good example that comes to mind is, say I hit that bad shot and I find the ball, it's in the woods. I got to punch out, and I punch out, and the punch out doesn't go as planned. Say it goes all the way across. Now I got a second wood shot, and group ends up on the tee box, and we're still in the fairway.
Mhm.
My processes will go out the window. I will not have the pot. I'll be looking. My strategy will go out the window. I'll be looking for a way to advance as best as possible. Maybe not the best decision, just looking
Yeah.
to advance, right? And then, yep, see you later. Because somebody
Yep.
has now put. If there's added pressure in rushing, is what I'm getting to. If
Yep.
you feel like the need to rush at all, you may not have a 5 minute process or anything crazy, but something will fall through the cracks of you not doing it, and there goes something that you're anchored in.
Yeah. Right. So now, again, like, there's so many things when I talk with people who are dealing with a lot of this stuff, right? Of, like, there's so many external forces that are at play, right? That can take your mind in 17,000 directions all at the same time. And so a couple of things that have to happen in order to play flexibly, which is my whole thing, psychological flexibility.
Mm,
One, we have to be able to experience all of that. But then it's being able to commit to the things that help us become the golfers that we want to be. So, like, for you, process is a big one, right?
yeah, that's the big
So,
one.
regardless of worrying about the people behind you, regardless of worrying about the people that are around you, right? That's still going to be there. You're still going to be
Mhm,
worried. You're still going to be pissed off about the shot that you hit. Now it's okay. Can I do that process while I'm worried, while I'm feeling rushed, right?
mhm.
Because it matters. I'm always worried about slow play, right? I'm the guy who's like, all right, come on, let's go. Like,
Yep,
let's
same.
get
Me
a move,
too. Me
right?
too.
And so
There's
the
a
mistake
clock.
that, yeah, exactly, right. So the mistake that I make a lot, and again, I say this all the time. I do this for a living, and I struggle with it every day, right?
Yep.
So this is a human This is just a completely human thing that we go through, right? So if I'm just teleporting myself back up to the tee box, basically saying like, well, they're going to be all pissed off that they have to wait, and they're probably watching me saying this, that, and the other thing. And now I'm not even in the fairway. I'm up on the tee box. What are the things that you have to do when you're out there, and can you do them regardless of how you feel?
Yep.
Right. So like they spend time working with you on their posture. Well,
Mhm.
before I go and I hit, can I put myself in that posture? I'm worried about holding up pace of play, or I'm worried that I look like an idiot, or I feel super uncomfortable and I hate this,
Mhm.
right? But can I do it anyway? It's almost like a spiteful tone to your own psychology of like you're telling me that the voice in my head is telling me that I'm not good enough to hit this shot. Cool. Can I
Well,
can I do it fully anyway?
I mean, angel devil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The voice in your head is almost your caddy. It's giving you information. You're making the decision whether or not you want to utilize that information to go play the best golf that you
I,
can.
I think that would help a lot if you thought of how you process things as player caddy relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
especially if you watch golf and understand what that's like, because very much it's almost like the player's brain is not in their body.
Mhm.
Like they're acting on pure feel
Yeah,
and repetition, and the
and
caddy's job is to mentally strategize it.
and what you're doing is you inherently what you're doing is you're saying to the voice in your head, "Hey, you can talk.
Yeah.
I'm just not always going to listen. If it's not useful, I'm not following it. You can talk with somebody who's in shooting 120, right? Like what are the things that you need to do when you're out on the golf course, and go do them regardless of how you're feeling.
Yeah. Just get through it. The scores will come down if you're shooting that high, your scores will come down if you just commit to any type of swing. Just start to get feel
Yeah,
and repetition.
it,
Lessons will help, but
yeah, for
but
sure.
yeah, yeah,
And I can't tell you the number of times where I've had people, and I've told them to just go out and not keep score, or have somebody else keep
right,
score for you,
right, right,
right?
right.
where
That's
you're
huge. That's so huge. That's so
well,
huge.
and so what you're doing, the value, you're not putting value in the score. You're putting value in the quality of the behaviors that you do.
Love that.
And you see it a lot on YouTube golf of like, well, I need to have X number of birdies in order to win this challenge, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Or if I birdie this, or if I bogey this hole, this means I have to now go make par or birdie so I can save strokes for later,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Guilty.
yeah, right. And now we're just time traveling.
Yeah.
We're everywhere but where we need to be.
Yeah. Because if you're a good player, you'll look at the holes where you think that that's possible, and then you're living
Yeah,
there.
yeah, right.
And
And
once you
and, and
jack that tee shot,
yeah,
that hole's
right.
over.
And so now it's like, okay, so you have your plan before you go in. Especially in like tournament golf. Like, yeah, you've got to pick your holes where you're going to get aggressive. But now all of a sudden, when the situation changes around you, we can't be so rigid in our plan that now we're taking ourselves out of holes.
We gotta save some of this for another day.
Yeah, yeah.
This
Here,
is
I'll stop it right here. I'll stop it right here.
it's just so good. It's so good.